If you weren't doing music, what do you think, like, what else would you have wanted to do? Or what do you want to do? Is it still going to be music for the rest of your life? Are you just going to turn into me for the rest of your life? Like, are we doing away with Haneri? Like, I need to know, what's the deal? I don't mind. No!
The Kiss Booth with Daphne Khoo.
Hi, I'm Daphne Khoo. I'm so glad you're here and welcome to the Kiss Booth. Today we have Haneri in the studio, and this is a first for me because obviously I have never interviewed myself. It's an outer body experience, but I'm very glad that, you know, the producers and my boss asked me to do this, and it's really what I do all the time, you know, talk to myself. So I'm very glad to be here. Both of us are. Thank you for having me. But I guess we'll kick it off with some deep life questions. Like, why did you choose? Have you always known that you wanted to do music? Yeah, I think that's something I definitely knew from a very young age that I loved to do. I loved songwriting. I loved making my family get entertained, be entertained. I would make up songs based on books that my sister liked. Like I would open it and then like come up with melodies for the words in the books. And I've always loved music. I think when it comes to expressing myself, I express myself better when I write a song. It's so much easier for me to do that than to actually have a conversation with someone. And so I've always loved music. I think listening to music and just like engulfing myself with music has always been one of my favorite things to do. And it's one of the things that I think bring all the people that I love and people that I don't love, not necessarily not love, but like just brings people together, you know, kind of like sports, but I'm not good at sports. So music it was. And I think that's something that I'm going to want to try to do for the rest of my life, you know, like it's life. And this is like one thing that I am kind of good at. So I want to keep doing it. Growing up, it was hard, right? There was no like scene here. And do you think that that's changed, you know, over the years? Like, is it different now? Absolutely. I think it's evolved a lot. I think it's still obviously got a long ways to go, but so does every industry and every music industry all over the world. I believe that they're constantly evolving and growing, and Singapore is no different. You know, back in the day when we started, when you started, there was no real scene. I mean, there were like people that would go to warehouse gigs. Oh my gosh, those were the days. And there are still warehouse gigs that are happening in Singapore for underground bands. And there are so many, there's actually a bunch of documentaries about it as well. Watching the community here grow and blossom despite the challenges. And people always ask, like, are there different challenges here? Or are there any challenges here compared to like overseas? My answer to that is there's challenges literally everywhere. I feel like the challenges in Singapore they change and evolve, but I do feel like the artists in Singapore also change and evolve along with it. You know, maybe we don't see the problem, but then when we do, I think the ones that can adapt and change and then move forward, that can help, you know, with how we move forward and become better artists for ourselves, for our country, for the rest of the world, because we do want to be represented out there. And a lot of our acts are actually getting international recognition. I think that's a beautiful thing. But more than that, I think the community that we're building has started to have its own characteristics. And I think that's also like such a beautiful thing to witness. It is really nice to see the community now and see that kind of support. But maybe, you know, with your new record EP, talks about like this whole section of your life that you had in the States, and what was that like? Or do you want to explain the EP a little bit, like the sequence of it or why it is that way? Okay, so I mean, life in the States is like a whole other chapter, but the Love EP I can kind of like talk a little bit about or break it down. So it's 7 singles, and it took me 2 years to put out, and it's kind of like the cycle of love, or rather like a cycle of failed love, which is kind of like, you know, the love that you have to go through before you find the one. So it always kind of fails before you get there. And I just felt like with all these movies and TV shows that tell us that this is what love should feel like. It should be amazing and like, mind blowing from the beginning, magic, sparks, butterflies, and all that. Yeah, sometimes love doesn't feel that way. And sometimes it ends abruptly and, the end of the movie, your life keeps going. So the latest single, No More, ends kind of like on a sour note. So it starts with Start Again, where, you have the start of your journey into finding love, and then it goes into Worry, which is looking at all the flaws that you have and you're like, oh my gosh, no one is going to love me because I'm not lovable. I've got so much trauma, so much stuff. I don't like who I am sometimes, like,
That sucks.
Exactly, yeah, that kind of stuff. And then it goes into Curious, which is like, okay, I'm opening myself up to the idea that you could love someone, yeah. And then from there, it goes into Thin Line. And Thin Line was kind of like when I chose like the wrong person, kind of like Shazad's like right person, wrong time. Could have been the right person, but definitely the wrong time. Didn't want to cross that line. And then rhyme. And then Hold Hands, which is like asking someone to be your one, like I steady my, kind of thing. Yeah. And then it goes into No More, which is like once you are in that relationship and you're like, okay, it's just exclusive, it's just us. And then it ends, because it always ends. And my mom always says like, it's only, you just need one. Like, okay, like if that's your thing, if you're looking for just one person, you just need one. And so No More kind of ends on the note that, okay, this wasn't the one. And there's the breakup. And how do you deal with the breakup? And what am I doing? And I used to have very like unhealthy habits, especially when it came to like a breakup. And I would be single for a long time and then, be free. So this is kind of like that anthem. And then, by the end of that, you start again. So my hope was that people listen to the whole album and then they start all over again. So they loop it so that I get more, people listening to it more. But that is the sequence of the Love EP. And yeah, hopefully that's the sequence that, you listen to it too. Okay, so if you weren't doing music, what do you think, like what else would you have wanted to do? Or what do you want to do? Is it still going to be music for the rest of your life? Are you just going to turn into me for the rest of your life? Like, are we doing away with Haneri? Like, I need to know, what's the deal? I don't mind. No! I honestly, I think I'm just kind of going with the flow at this point. I've spent so much of my career with goals in mind and wanting to reach a certain place and being very focused on reaching that goal. And I think right now, at the age that I'm at with the things that I have done in the past, I'm just learning to be at peace with everything that I'm doing. I will always be making music for the rest of my life. I'm really into songwriting for other artists, into vocal coaching and watching other artists shine now. Doing things like this, you come bringing on artists, myself even, and shining a spotlight on that and giving, other artists a platform. I think what we're doing is kind of cool and it's kind of amazing that we get to do this. We have an amazing crew and a show that I couldn't even have imagined. So I'm, very grateful for everything that I get to do right now. Music will always be a big part of my life. I think I've also kind of let go though of, oh, I want my song to go viral. I want it to be like the next big hit. I think all of those things were kind of like a pipe dream for what I thought would sustain me financially as an artist. But I think with the other skill sets that I have, like talking to myself for a full hour is, that's what I'm going to use moving forward and seeing, like, being creative about the talents that I have been given and what I am good at or, try, fail, and then try again, But I think I just want to have fun in this life and enjoy it and be happy, make the people around me happy, entertain the people. And I think if that's music, if that's talking, if that's interviewing, if that's playing games, I am totally down to do all of it. So I'm just trying to keep myself open with what it is I'm doing. And I think back in the day, I wanted to be a dancer. I don't know if I want to go back into doing that, but
Okay.
There were many things that I wanted to do. And I think it's time that I explore all and any of them as long as I don't break my body. That's the only thing I'm hoping not to do. Yeah. Okay, well, on that note, I hope that, we can do what makes us happy for the rest of our lives. And I know that music is definitely something that I can see us both loving to do. And this is such a trippy interview, but I'm so glad that I did it.
The Kiss Booth with Daphne Khoo.